Hey guys, welcome to the Seven Figure Box podcast. My name is Andrew Frezza, and today we're going to be talking about the value of getting outside your own four walls. And I wanted to talk about this topic because I was recently on the Jim Wright podcast last week. And one thing that they ask all their guests at the end of each show is, in one sentence, if you could give one piece of advice to gym owners out there, what would you tell them? And the advice that I went with, actually, I wanted to give the advice that someone had given a couple weeks previously, which was focus on client experience over fitness, which I thought was a great one. But the response that I gave was to go outside your own four walls. So I wanted to use today's podcast to elaborate a little bit more on that answer and give you guys a better idea of what I mean by that and how I've used that in the past for me and how it's been useful for me. So for me, getting outside your own four walls really means breaking your routine and getting outside of your own head. And sometimes it's done physically by traveling or getting out of your normal physical routine of driving to the gym and actually being physically at your gym. And other times you can kind of do that a little bit more mentally, or at least do it without having to take on a big expense or big amount of time off by having to travel to a different state or something like that. So I wanted to talk about the different ways I've done it mentally and physically, and then also some ways not to do it. And some of the ways that I think a lot of gym owners who are unsuccessful do it is that they'll go to competitions, right? They'll go to local throwdowns or regionals or the CrossFit Games, and that will be like their one trip of the year, right? So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those things, because those are fun. I've done it myself. We've gone to Wadapalooza every year, or most years we're about 2 hours away here. We've gone to the games one time when it was out in California, and we enjoyed those trips. But if you only get 1 or 2 trips a year, I wouldn't spend it on those things. I don't think it's the best use of your time, and I don't think it has the ability to mentally shift you from a business perspective and personal development perspective that you need to come back to your gym and really thrive and hit the ground running. Another way that a lot of gym owners do it, they step outside their four walls, is they'll go to technically based certifications, right? They go to the level 1, they go to the level 2, level 3, they do the mobility or the Olympic weightlifting certification, right? Typically, I've seen most gym owners, that's the 2 primary ways that they're stepping outside their own four walls, is either going to local competitions or going to that technical based certification or seminar. And I think that's kind of a big mistake. There's nothing wrong with those things, but if those are the only ways that you're getting outside your own four walls, then it's going to leave you more stuck in your head than it's going to help you see things in a new light. And then a third way, which is more of the mental side, is gym owners who are getting inspiration and strategies from other gym owners who are not successful and who are not in a position where they want to be. And that could be through social media. It could be through Facebook groups like the CrossFit Affiliate Owners Group. It could be just by copying what your local competition is doing from what you see on the outside via their website and what you hear through the grapevine. And those are really not good ways to try to see things differently about your business, right? So I want to touch on some of the 4 common ways that I've used it and I found the most value. So number 1 for getting outside your own four walls is attending business seminars or masterminds, right? So for me, I get a really big effect from going to a business seminar versus a Olympic weightlifting cert when it comes to driving my business forward. And that was something I quickly learned over the years. And one of the reasons I started the Rockstar Coaching Course is because I wanted to create a course that had some of the technical elements built in, but created the value for the business as a whole and the retention that we like to get from a more business-based seminar. And the first one that I ever attended was Ben Bergeron's Business of Excellence seminar. And I attended that in the first year we were in business. And a lot of those principles and tools have stayed with me and held true throughout the years. And I've never looked at our business the same since that seminar. We've also gone to his immersion seminar. I've done the Barbell Mastermind that when Barbell Shrugged was more in their original state, did that. And all of those things, it wasn't just physically going to those things and stepping away from my box and being in a new city, but it was being around people who were successful, who were doing things at a level that I wanted to aspire to, that really led to these big shifts in perspective. I'm also a really big fan of non-fitness related events. Like I've done a lot of Tony Robbins stuff. So I've gone to his Unleash the Power Within. I've gone to Date with Destiny with my now wife, and also did Dale Carnegie's course, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And all of those have had a much bigger impact on me as a person and our business than things like Olympic weightlifting certifications had for me. So I'd highly recommend stepping out and diving into new things, working on yourself, seeing your business from a new light, and surrounding yourself with people who are doing it at a level that you want to aspire to. Number 2 recommendation for stepping outside your 4 walls would be attending classes at other boxes or other non-CrossFit gyms. So definitely go to other local gyms that you admire, right? You don't have to travel far for this. You can just go to a gym that's within 30, 40 miles. Take a class there. See what they do really well. See what about the experience you don't like either, right? What felt not right to you? How did, like, from the second you walked in, how did they talk to you? How did they set you up with the waiver? And then go ahead and match that up with how you guys do things and how you could do things better. And again, similar to my recommendation with seminars and events, I'm even more of a fan of going to non-CrossFit gyms. I'm a big fan of going to an Orange Theory class or going to Barry's Boot Camp or Soul Cycle, whatever you have in your area, and just thinking about it not necessarily from a fitness perspective, but from a client experience perspective. Think about the visual, the first impression from when you walk in. Think about the way people talk to you and the way the sales setup is. How do they structure it from the time you show interest and try to schedule a class till they're offering you a membership, and just kind of be a fly on the wall in that sense. And I think it's really hard for us as CrossFit owners that know our fitness side of things is better than what these people have to offer. We tend to get very judgy, but you have to go into it with an open mind and seeing what they do better than us, because especially with places like Orange Theory and Soul Cycle, which are thriving franchises, they've created a business model that doesn't just work in one city, it works in multiple cities. So for you to think that they're not doing a lot of things right, I mean, that's just really dumb of us to not think that. So we got to go in there and say and think of it from the perspective of, okay, how did these people get so successful where they can generate these, close to $1 million businesses in really small retail spaces all across the world? What are they doing right? What can I pick up and take back into my gym? Okay. Number 3 recommendation for stepping outside your own 4 walls is grabbing lunch with other local gym owners. Okay. So find the owner who is within like 100-mile radius of you that you look up to the most and offer to buy them lunch, right? And do that every couple months and go back and forth with ideas. Maybe at first it's you asking them a lot of questions, and that's why I'd highly recommend you offering to buy them lunch. But over time, hopefully it will be a great back and forth where you guys can both learn a lot from each other. And this is something that I've done with a gym owner that I respect a lot in West Palm, Carl from CrossFit El Cid. Give you a little shout out, Carl, if you're listening. But we've met 4 or 5 times over the last year, and it's really helped me see our business in a different light, get ideas of what other people are doing that have been really successful. And then also it gives you a feeling that you're not alone. And I think in our business, in entrepreneurship in general, it can sometimes feel like a lonely place in the sense that, a lot of your friends, a lot of your people that are around you just think as a byproduct of being a business owner that you're automatically successful and you automatically have all this money to your name and all these things. And we know that's not the case. And to have another gym owner that can share the struggles with you and you guys can kind of vent a little bit in that sense, but also keep the conversation very productive. It's really nice to know you're not alone. And that's honestly like one of the biggest benefits I get from business coaching, because we also pay for business coaching, and business coaching is also kind of a subtle way to get outside your own 4 walls. But business coaching for me, one of the best things is just realizing that I'm not alone, having someone to bounce ideas off of, even if they're not necessarily providing these like unbelievable nuggets of wisdom, just having someone to talk to and hear yourself say something out loud to someone who's on a similar level to you or a level above you, it really helps you create clarity around your ideas and around your decision making. Number 4 recommendation, final recommendation, is to utilize travel and vacations to be productive from a business standpoint. Okay, and this is tricky because when you are traveling, when you're on vacations, I definitely want you to step away and get a clear break and clear separation from your business. But I've found that no matter how hard I try, I'm never going to truly separate myself from the business. So what I try to use travel and vacations for is I separate myself from the day-to-day part of the business and the urgency and the stress of the day-to-day stuff. But the higher level stuff, I actually dig into even deeper. So I might read a business book like Traction while I'm on vacation, or I might read a book about habits and personal development. And just having something that's kind of business or personal development related keeps me in that business mindset, but from a brand new perspective. And when you take that and combine that with being in a new city, being a new routine, I find it really gets those creative juices flowing. It allows you to kind of see the day-to-day stresses as smaller so you can focus on bigger decisions and bigger direction things for your company. So I highly recommend doing stuff like goal setting or long-term planning while you're on a vacation. And one thing that I recently did with my wife is we knew we wanted to do a vacation and do something fairly local. We ended up flying up to Asheville, North Carolina, and Charlotte, and we hit both of those cities. And part of what we did was I had the mornings to myself to get some work done. So I visited 4 gyms that I looked up to. While I was there, I went to Stu Brower's gym from WTF Gym Talk. I went to Vitality Fitness, which is an incredible facility. I went to a non-CrossFit gym called Metabolic. And to see these different gyms and also combine that with being out of my daily routine, it really had the juices flowing. And I was able to come back really clear-minded coming back to the business after that vacation. So I'd highly recommend doing stuff like that where you're getting out of your normal routine. And again, it's not the CrossFit competition. It's not going to the CrossFit Games. It's not going to the next Olympic weightlifting seminar, but it's doing things that are a little bit further off from the training and technical mindset. And then one last thing I wanted to share, which was maybe more of a simple way to do this, because some of you guys may be listening to some of these things and being like, okay, well, I can't afford to go to the next business seminar. I can't afford a mastermind. I can't afford Unleash the Power Within. I can't afford a vacation. I can't leave. I don't have the staff to take over my gym while I go away. About a year ago, I remember just being like, it was like a week where I was super stressed, super overwhelmed. And one of the things I did for just literally an afternoon, I think I coached that morning, and in the afternoon I wasn't coaching, and I just drove 30 minutes north to a coffee shop. I Yelped it and found a really good coffee shop and found a place that I knew I wouldn't see anybody I know, I wouldn't see any members, and it was just a chance for me to hang out, kind of do more of an aerial view on where am I spending my time, where do I want to be spending my time, where do I need to delegate stuff, and just having that, again, that simple stepping out of the 4 walls, going to a coffee shop I had never been to, taking a little bit of a drive, clearing my head, that was enough to buy me a few weeks of clarity and a few weeks of feeling refreshed in the business. So if you're feeling stressed, don't feel like it needs to be something major, but maybe you just need to get out of your normal routine, go somewhere new, and kind of come back with a little fresh perspective on where your business needs to go. All right.